My name is Saul Tranquilino. I'm 34 and I have type 2 diabetes. And it's just that simple. I felt horrible. I mean, I just was sick all the time, even to the point where I couldn't eat, So I went to the doctor and I wasn't sleeping and, constantly going to the bathroom. So I said, I need to know what's wrong with me. They kind of knew already before they even did the blood test or anything like that. And that's what they did. And about a week later, they called me and told me I had type 2 diabetes. It wasn't tough to hear because I just wanted whatever was wrong with me to feel better because I felt so horrible. I mean, I just felt, I can't even tell you exponentially how much better I feel just getting it under control, how bad I felt. The first thing I did was actually I got rid of all the pop in the house. That was the first thing. Like I took it actually over to my brother's house and I'm talking like cases of pop, and then I told my family, and we just started a plan from there. Diet, exercise, things of that nature. Actually started looking online because I'm a technology guy, looking for apps that would help me, watch what I'm doing, exercise, heart rate, things of that nature. And that was actually, I think, one of the first things we did. It's working out great. Like I count my carbs and my calories all the time, and it's amazing when you start putting in the things that you're eating on paper or anything, how much stuff that you eat in a day, and it makes you feel bad, For a little while, Now I'm down to 1,100 calories and 150 carbs a day, and it's not a problem. Now at first I was hungry. But if I found if I went in a walk on the evenings or something like that, it tamped my appetite. Well, the first thing for me, and I was really big when I first started, was my first walk. I did it for 41 minutes. I only walked 1.5 miles. So it doesn't matter as long as you start somewhere, And I was dreading it. Like I'm sitting on the couch. I don't want to do this, but eventually, you just got to, just try to, One time, originally my goal was they say a habit is 20, you do it 21 times, it's a habit. So I thought if I went out and walked 21 times, in a month, I have a new habit. And that's pretty much how I started the program, just walking. Yeah, and that's all I still do now. I haven't tried to start jogging yet or anything like that. I just walk, and as long as my heart rate's up and I'm doing the right things, and it works. Just stay positive. Just stay positive about it, and make it more of a life experience as opposed to a hindrance in your life. Because today I live normal. Nobody knows I have diabetes. When I'm walking around, nobody knows. Nobody's going to judge you for it. You just have it. And so if you just stay positive and include your family in it, I think most people will be just fine.
This was in 7th grade, so I was in the middle school, and it's kind of a weird time where people are changing and growing, and I got super duper sick, and it took my mom and family kind of a while to figure out what was going on. I was probably skinny and hungry all the time and that kind of thing. I looked up what type 1 diabetes was, and I read through every symptom and was like, oh my goodness. And I walked into her room with tears and said, I have this, I know I do. The only connotations I had of diabetes were my uncle, who is now legally blind, and then my grandma, who passed away when I was around 6 due to complications of the disease. I had never really been exposed to a healthy way of living with the disease, so I just remember being in tears on my mom's lap and just not knowing what to do, and we had to go straight to the hospital from there.
When Abby was diagnosed, we both knew, but I was very aware, having family members with diabetes, that's what she had. And so we just waited for the answer, and I could hear them outside the door sort of talking about where the options were for us. And the physician came in and gave us 3 choices, children's being one of them, and there was nowhere else that was hands down our first choice.
I guess I never really realized all the daily things that we take for granted, not living with a disease and not living with something that hinders your health. I guess I was thinking about it today, walking through the halls, what is different about me? No matter what circumstances like 24/7. I'm thinking about like what I have to do to make sure that I have sugar with me, to make sure that I'm at the right level before I go into the next class, or the right level before I take the next test, before I drive, or before I go into the next sport.
Abby's health and her future health, I think, are the biggest worries for me. Watching her on a day-to-day basis and all that she does, and you look at her friends and her peers and her sister and the things that they can do without stopping. There isn't a test that she takes, there isn't a text that she sends where it doesn't have implications on her health, and that's not fair.
The compounding effect of a bad week exists, and you may not be able to see it in her smiling face or in her having fun with her friends or playing tennis or whatever, but in the back of your mind, today just increased her chances of having a major organ failure by X%.
I would say it's definitely brought us closer. It's there's sort of a feeling of it's the four of you against the world. You really form a special bond. And I wouldn't trade that, but I certainly wouldn't wish for that. The reasons.
They're amazing parents, and I couldn't imagine like thinking about all the stuff that they think about. It's gonna make me cry. The amount of support that I get from them, I don't think I could do it without that. If I wouldn't be as motivated without their support. I think that my future is a little bit different than most other teenagers. When I go to college, I have to think about establishing friendships right away that I know people are going to be watching out for me, not necessarily just going to parties, but every day. And who's going to be the person who, if I ever have an ambulance ride situation, who's going to be that person? I think that seems a little bit scarier going into college than for other people.
So much funding goes to a cure, and I hope that there is a cure. I'm waiting for the day there is a cure, but until then, you have to keep these kids healthy. And Children's is on the cutting edge of trying to improve the day-to-day life for diabetics. And unlike Abby, there are a lot of diabetics who, and especially in the teenage years, they don't want to test themselves. They don't want to give themselves insulin before they eat. They just want to be like every other kid. The tools and the avenues that Children's is working on is how do you get these kids to have better control and better maintenance of their day-to-day. And I think Children's is ahead of most in really looking at that and finding ways to do that. And that it's invaluable.
If you don't get it early and you don't get them the education and you don't get these devices, you got to get parents to be inspired to want to help out their kids. And that only comes if people support Children's. Otherwise, diabetes continues to go on as this silent killer that quietly compounds itself over time. People don't have the capacity, the support to monitor it the right way.